Welcome to Big Blend Radio with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazine.com.
Hey everybody, do you live a yummy, delicious life? Ooh, yummy, delicious, I think is the very, very favorite saying of Shelley Whizin. And so we welcome you to today's Big Blend Radio Soul Diving Sunday show with Shelley Whizin. We love these every first Sunday she is on the show, and it's a perfect day to get some inspiration to live a yummy, delicious life, which is what we're talking about on today's show. Shelley is the ultimate soul diving guide. She's a founder and CEO of the Soul Diving Institute, and that was established to study and teach the art and science of being human. Am I getting all these right here, Shelley? The being.
Totally right.
All right, we're getting there. And she works with people as a transformational life coach. She has all kinds of cool courses and programs. So I encourage you to go to her website, ShelleyWhizin.com. But before you do that, check it out. She's also the author of What Do You Bring to the Table? A savory, sensory, and inspirational guide to living a yummy, delicious life. She's also the author of the Healing Journal and the story of the magical baby grand piano. So welcome back, Miss Shelley. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you so much. I always love talking to you, Lisa.
And you too. I know Nancy says hi. You know, today when we're recording is National Goof Off Day. So like she's the boss.
I did not know that.
So I was like telling everybody, even our daily Big Blend podcast on Spotify, I'm like, Nancy is missing in action. She's allowed. She says, I'm going to have a yummy, delicious life and tune out for the day and play with dogs. We're allowed to do that. Isn't that part of it in being yummy, delicious?
100%. Yes.
Yeah, to have some fun. Now, listen, for those watching on Facebook or Zoom, see that chocolate cake? That is in your book. What do you bring to the table? Shelley brings chocolate cake and teaches us how to make it. So I like this. But yummy, delicious, no kidding, that is your favorite saying. I know that. You love to say it. You want everybody to say it because it's fun to say. But we also want to live it. So you've got a great article up on blendradioandtv.com for people to read. And you've got all kinds of articles there. So people can just type in Shelley Whizin to find it. And in there you talk about what is a yummy, delicious life, what isn't. Can you give us a little overview of what it is and what it ain't? Tis what it is, tis what it ain't.
Tis what it is. I think I said to live or not to live a yummy, delicious life. That was the new title of it, right?
I want to live a yummy, delicious life.
All right. To be or not to be. So here's what my definition of living a yummy, delicious life is. I just use the analogy of food because that's what my book is all about. It's using life with an analogy of food as an analogy for life. And so they interact. And I know that when I taste something yummy, delicious, I mean, when you eat something, you've tasted it for the first time, how can you not help but go,
like brie cheese.
Good, right? Whatever it is that you love to eat, you can't help. All your senses are involved. Your taste, of course, your smell, of course, but everything about you is involved in the moment of that taste of feeling, sensing, and experiencing that moment to the fullest. And that's the way I see life. When we allow ourselves to experience the fullness of our life, the fullness, and that is, like you shared with me, National Goof Off Day or whatever it is that takes us to that place of appreciation, takes us to that place of feeling grateful, takes us to that place of enjoying our moments. I mean, I know sometimes, well, we can talk about what not living a yummy, delicious life is like, but right now, it's just savoring every moment, this moment that we have. That to me is yummy, delicious. When we can allow ourselves to savor this moment and make it the most important moment of our entire life, because guess what? It's the only moment we actually know that we have.
Very good. See, and wait, this goes with you being a doula, right? Too. What do you? How do you?
It's a death midwife. Death
A death
midwife, death
midwife.
doula. Yeah,
Okay, so you understand that,
yeah,
life
yeah,
is precious and those moments are
yeah,
it.
yeah,
So does breathing come into kind of pausing to understand that moment, doing breathing exercises?
totally. Because
Mm,
when we breathe, when we're conscious of our breath, and that's the other thing, when we are aware, and that's one of the greatest gifts that we can have.
mm,
It's one of these 3 steps that I teach people to change limiting behaviors. And the first step is being aware,
mm,
because we can't change what we don't know. We don't know what we don't know.
right.
And until we know what we don't know, we can't do anything about it.
Yeah, there you go.
We're kind of stuck in a vortex of not knowing, and we kind of go on automatic. And if we're filled with negative self-talk all the
Ah,
time, we just give over to the negative self-talk and allow that to run our life, instead of stopping and saying, hey, wait a minute, where's that negative self-talk coming from? Is it true? Was it mine? It
mm,
turns into a belief after a while.
mm-hmm.
And so many of my clients now have said to me, you know what, Shelley, I never knew I could change a belief. That to me was such an eye opener,
Mm,
because when you think about it, we run on these automatic beliefs that we've got running us, that we run. It's kind of a two-way street, but we are at effect of those
mm-hmm.
thoughts. We're not shifting those. Why? Because we're not aware.
But this goes deep. This goes deep. I mean, even if you look at racism, can be handed down from a family, like this is how we
Totally.
live. And so you have this belief, which is a very negative and poisonous, it's horrible, right? But if
Yeah,
you're now in this belief mode of negativity on people, I believe that you're going to do it to yourself, because you're almost looking for the negatives instead of looking for the positive. So that could be this belief, and to change that, which has happened in historically, even I've seen documentaries on true stuff of like a head Klansman of the KKK turn around through a woman persisting, a black lady in her family, not allowing her kids to like argue with him, and just continue with love. And you make a big point in your article about love, and to always aim high, right? Go high when they go low. And eventually they came together on things, and he gave it all up and had to tell them all, like, I changed my belief. I think that's a really massive belief. And now he's an advocate for African American rights. And so that's what I'm saying. That's a huge, huge belief system to change. But it was the power of this woman standing strong in love and not going there. When, I mean, if your family is attacked in that community and have been killed and all kinds of things, you have that's a biggie, but it shows the possibilities, right?
totally. Because thoughts are malleable.
Mm,
Thoughts are not rooted in cement.
mm-hmm.
Thoughts are like clouds. They just roam around. But it's when we catch a thought and make it real according to what we think is true, what we think is true. And lately, I believe that thinking is a highly overrated activity, highly overrated, that we don't feel as much. We don't rely on our sense of being, of our sense of knowing, of that inner guidance that we have, that leads us into places that are more positive oriented than negative oriented,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But I find it fascinating that more people than not, in my experience, fight for their limitations, fight so hard to
Mm-hmm.
keep their limited beliefs going, to keep their misery alive. It's almost like putting fuel into their own fire.
Oh,
Oh,
it's the Prince song. Why do we scream at each other? This is what doves sound like when doves cry. This is what it sounds like when doves cry. I'll get the lyrics right. Because if I don't sing it, I can't remember the
Oh,
lyrics.
go sing
But
it.
this
sing
is, but why do we scream at each other? This is what it
Oh.
sounds like when doves cry. And
Oh,
so that is all about these sides that just keep going. And so it's that cycle that keeps spinning. And so I think people do that. I know we talked about relationships in February, but that can continue on between people. That's why I would say what you're talking about, I think, can change how people treat each other around the world, and we can have a lot more peace.
yeah. Let's have a lot more peace. I vote for that. I totally
Yeah.
vote for that.
Mm-hmm.
So much
Yeah.
more fun. It's so much more enjoyable. And if we keep the goal of coming from our highest and greatest good and come from love, be conscious of coming from love, even despite the fact that there are people who don't want you to love, who don't want to be loved, who don't want to love because it seems weak or it
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
seem like
right.
a
Isn't that
strong
weird? Yeah.
quality.
Stiff upper lip.
Don't cry. I mean, don't let it affect you. I mean, yes, don't let it affect you. We are not victims of what happens around us. That is true. However, when we don't let ourselves love, we're like cutting off half of who we are.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. And I think we put up walls. So like people have gone through something, immediately put up a wall saying, well, I don't want that to happen again. So therefore I'm going to put up a wall instead of going, okay, that situation sucked, it hurt, or whatever the situation was, and say, okay, I don't want to, I'll be a lookout, I'll learn that lesson. But instead they'll put up a whole wall. Not to be political. That was a good one though.
That was a
But
real good one.
but
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yes,
To
brick
do
by
that whole
brick and
wall.
mortar and everything, and make sure that there are no holes in the wall. And what happens in that? What are we doing? We're robbing ourselves of our own experience.
Mhm.
We're
Yeah.
robbing ourselves of a potential yummy, delicious life. And we're keeping it in the dark, or we're keeping it in a place. I mean, I have a client who we've been working on this. It's just exactly what you're saying. And she said, well, I don't want to set myself up for disappointment, so I don't let myself go there. And I'm going, oh, okay. So you're thinking about the future of, you don't want to be disappointed in the future. So you've already cut yourself off now, so you won't have that experience in the future, but you're not having it now. You're not even letting yourself have it now. So what is the point? You delay the joy factor forever. Because if you don't want to be disappointed and you shut down, like you say, and you build up that wall so that you can't feel love, or you can't receive love or give love or seem vulnerable. God forbid we ought to be vulnerable. Jesus.
Oh, but then how do you have, well, I just went naughty there. I just kind of, it's like if you're gonna, have a little romp in the bedroom and you keep the lights off the whole time, you don't enjoy it. You know what I mean? It's
Yes.
yeah, you could close yourself to absolutely those lovely joys, right?
All the
And we
joy.
all want, a good jolt and a run on the beach once in a while. So you
Yes.
need to be vulnerable to be able to have that.
Yes, yes. And the thing is, what is so bad? I know this may sound strange, but what's so bad to have your heart broken?
It
You know
means
what
you
that
loved,
means? Yes. We've
you
been
know?
given the ability to love. And when
Mhm.
we love wholly and deeply and fully, we're experiencing that. And if our heart gets broken, where are the rules to say that as a human experience, our hearts are not supposed to be broken? Or we're not stoic, we're not brick walls, we're pliable, and we have feelings.
I'm definitely pliable.
Yeah,
I'm,
me too. I'm very
I'm
soft
very
since the
elastic.
pandemic.
I've got a lot of elastic that stretches going on. See that cake behind you?
Yes, I
Makes me
get it.
happy.
I made that cake, so I know. And I've probably eaten many of those cakes.
It's all good with me. But I love talking about this with the walls, because I think we do that in our professional lives. We won't go for that award, or we won't go, oh, I'll never get this. So we start this, it's very condescending, and you start to really, your confidence level, you start to put your confidence under your foot, so you keep stepping on yourself, and that's not fun.
Oh,
You
that's
know?
a beautiful way of saying it. Wow, I've never heard
Yeah.
it said that way before. That is a beautiful image. I mean, it's true, because it's almost like you go into a negotiation with somebody, right? And you negotiate yourself down before you even get an answer from the other person, because you think you're not going to get whatever it is you want to get. So you already dim
Oh
your
yeah.
light down, you dim yourself down, you pull yourself back, and you don't go after it because you think you don't want to get
Oh my
disappointed.
gosh. Now I see, it's like, the witches stuff, like that in sci-fi movies, like, a drop falls down and then it just shrivels up and smoke comes out.
Yes.
That's what I see. Like you're literally disappearing
Yes.
as a soul. You know what I
Yes.
mean? When you
Yes.
do this. And so then it's like, then you have to build yourself back up, but really it is just one mindset thought. It's not like, I have to work on myself today.
Right.
Okay, self, get over yourself, stand
Right.
up, get on with it, you know?
Right.
So I think self-confidence is a very difficult thing for people to achieve, especially if they've been through trauma. That's what I've learned, is that, I have friends that have gone through some really terrible things in life, and it has impacted their entire world of confidence, of choices they make in relationships. So they keep putting themselves into harm's way, or keep putting themselves into a lower position career wise. They don't allow themselves to come up because of this baggage. And I'm like, just cut the baggage, cut the cord, but I suppose it's hard.
Well, there's a belief around what you're saying, and the belief becomes stronger than that, what you're saying, because
Mhm.
the belief is, I'm not worthy enough to have this, or I'm not worthy enough to have a healthy relationship, because I've been conditioned to believe I'm not worthy enough. And
Mm.
that can be from our parents. I know for me, I mean, I'm going to share something that really made me vulnerable and really impacted and affected my whole life, that I've had to overcome.
Mm.
When I was, I mean, all my life, I grew up in this frenetic household. My mother was not a well woman, and she screamed and yelled all the time. She was a rageaholic. We never knew when we were going to get in trouble. We never
Mm.
knew it. And so we all walked around on eggshells, wanting to be
Oh.
invisible so that she wouldn't find something to use to either hit us with a belt or scream and yell at us. I
Oh.
mean, truly, it was not a fun household to be in. And so I was the oldest girl, and I felt, I mean, I was charged with having to take care of everybody in the household. And that's where I started to cook for 7 people. So
Mm.
that's why when I make food, I can't make food for just 2 people most of the time. I make it for a lot of people, and then I give the rest away, because that's what I like to do. But I remember when I used to love to sing. I would be in the choir and I'd belt out songs, and I was this little tiny girl and had this big voice, and there was a record producer that my dad met somewhere along the line, and we went to his house, and and he said, take this cassette. It was a cassette. Excuse me. Take this cassette home and memorize this song and
Oh.
come. And did I do it? No. I did exactly what we were talking about. I robbed myself of even having the experience for somebody to say, no, you're not ready yet. You're not good enough yet. I
Oh.
already deemed myself not good enough and didn't do it.
Mm.
And truly, it impacted everything in my life,
Wow.
everything. And there was a talent show at school. I was in 9th grade. I was new in the class. Nobody knew who I was.
I know that feeling.
Yes, I'm sure you do. It was mid-semester, so it was like the last semester of junior high, which was the last grade from 7 to 9. So all these kids had been bonded since elementary school, and I was this new girl that came in the last
Oh,
semester
yeah.
of the graduating class. And I saw this talent show, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to join the talent show. And there was a song I loved. It was called Goody Goody. Remember
Mhm.
that song?
No.
So you met someone who set you back on your
Okay,
heels.
wait.
Goody goody. So
Yep.
you met
Yep.
someone and now you know how it feels. And so for some reason, I liked that song. I took one of those whole slips. Remember the slips that we used to wear underneath
Oh,
our,
wow.
and I sewed green fringe all around it and made a flapper dress out of it.
Oh, cool.
And brought out this big, huge ghetto blaster with its tiny cassette and brought it on stage. And I made up a dance and I sang to the song and I won the talent show.
You go, girl. You
And
showed him.
everybody
You
in
did
the
it.
audience, my best friend, who became my best friend, she said to the girl next to her, "Who is that little girl up there? We've never seen her before." And so we can overcome
Oh, yeah.
limited beliefs, but that belief stayed with me and still with me.
Oh,
I'm not
it's like
saying
one
it
of those
isn't.
little things that sit on your shoulder, and you have to say, "Hey, get off of my cloud."
Get off of, that's another good song. Get off of
Yeah.
my,
Hey,
yeah, we
you,
could
get off of my
just
cloud.
sing the whole podcast.
I know this is a good music. Hey, listen, I'm all into musical journeys.
Yeah, yeah.
That is my yummy delicious is
Yeah,
music.
see, everybody's got
See?
their own yummy
Well,
delicious.
and your yummy delicious kind of got me really thinking over the podcasts we've done over the last few years, really, and our
Yeah.
conversations and just even personally corresponding and everything. And I kind of got to a very basic thing about yummy delicious, which is
Oh, tell me.
making choices, which means again being conscious, as you always say, being conscious, right? Being like, okay, am I going to go left or right? Which one feels yummy or delicious? That's it. So if you look at living life and it just every time you go to do something, is this a yummy delicious thing for me? No. Well, don't do it then. Now, do you have to do it? I go, okay, do I have to do it? Will there be a yummy delicious? I want the yummy delicious at the end. I want the reward. So that's kind of how I look at yummy deliciousness. But
I
you
like
have
that.
to practice it. And that's the hard part is getting yourself into a pattern. And you know what I mean? You have to work at it. You really do.
I think it's important, and I think you mean about working at it is by being aware and being
Hmm.
conscious of what kind of human being do I want to be? How
Mm,
do I want to live my life? Do I want to live it behind being a coward and not going after it because I don't think I'm good enough? That belief is underneath running the show,
mm,
saying, and it comes, interestingly enough, I believe that it comes from, it's not a bad place where it comes from. It comes from the ego.
mm.
Ego wants to protect you,
Yep.
doesn't want you to get hurt, so it stops you from going out there and making a fool of yourself
And the
or
automatic flight or
failing.
fight, that flight or
Right.
fight
Kind of
response.
pulls you back and say, you can't do that. Remember, you're not
Mm,
worthy, you're not good enough to do that. There
mm,
are other people who are better than you. And
yeah.
it because the ego wants to be right. That's why the ego fights so hard for the limiting beliefs and for not letting us to be free of just having a human experience in
Right.
all that it's made up of and
Mm,
all that it offers us. I mean, I think the soul, because I have a basic belief that we're spiritual beings having a human experience,
mm,
not the other way around.
right.
And it's the human part that's the bumpy ride. How do we navigate that with as much ease and grace as possible? Listen, I learn that every single day. I practice
Hmm.
every single day. I am a human, like every other human. I don't profess to be perfect. I don't profess to to, you know, be better than
You
anybody
can't be perfect,
else.
otherwise you don't learn and grow.
Yeah. And well, we can't be anyway, so it doesn't even matter. We're
Yeah,
going to learn and grow regardless.
exactly. Even if you
And
don't do anything, you're going to learn from that.
you're going to learn and grow regardless. We change all the
Mm,
time. It's just, are we going to change into the same thing?
mm,
Or are
I
we going
like
to
that.
alter the way in which we see something?
Okay, so you've got me on this whole kick now. See,
Okay.
so people got to get your book, right? And then you've got a course coming on I want to hear about, tell people about.
Yeah.
But this is what I like from this conversation. I've just it's the cake, man. I'm telling you. This cake is a dangerous thing. I should never have put this as a background. This is terrible.
I looked at
But
it and went, oh my God, I remember how yummy delicious
I
that is.
mean, really, it's like I can't drool on camera. Well, I could drool and sing and chew, yeah. But
Adorable.
this is kind of how I look at it because I know there's mind mapping and making decisions, and sometimes I always believe writing it down helps to get it going. Like I remember things if I handwrite it down, like even doing scheduling and stuff, I still have an old day timer and write it down.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'm perfect at that either, but majority of the time I remember what I've done. I think a cool thing to do is there's journaling, but if you look at Yummy Delicious and how you connect food, because it's something that's primal, that's something here. And part of the evolution of the human being is to not just eat to survive, it's to actually enjoy yummy chocolate cake and things like that. So I figure, look at life as a restaurant. Okay. So you get to make the menu. What's your appetizer? What are the things that are absolutely delicious to you? What is the main course? So that's the big stuff in life. Then what's the cherry on the top dessert? Maybe you can have a little cocktail on the side. Maybe you do. Are you playing music in your restaurant? We got to go back to music.
Yeah.
And then are you going to have pop-ups? Are you going to have a menu of the day? What's in season? Because you can change. You don't have to have the same menu, but you're allowed to have a menu. So I think I want to build a menu to keep on track.
I love that
Yeah.
idea.
I want to build a menu. I want a restaurant,
Totally.
but I don't have to work in there. I've done that. That's
Right.
hard.
Right.
But I can change it and I can have my own mental virtual restaurant
That's
with my own
right.
menu, my life menu. I like the menu. That's
I
fun.
love that analogy.
Yeah. So
Good
give me an
one.
appetizer for you.
Yeah.
What would be an like okay, what's a little teeny one? A moose bouche? Is that how they say it?
Moose an appetizer for me in my restaurant would be my appetizer would be to taste the sound of silence.
Well, hello darkness, my old friend.
There you go.
What is this, a
Come to
musical
talk
game?
to you
Seriously.
again.
This is crazy. Okay,
Turn this
so
whole thing into a, medley.
I know.
For me in the morning, my appetizer is to allow myself some quiet time
Mm,
to just get in touch with my inner nature and
mm.
my inner guides and the silence of all. This sounds interesting. A friend of mine's fabulous channel, Merlin,
Oh, cool.
fabulous. Maybe I'll have her on this show one day.
Oh, it'll be
Gonna love
fun.
to
Let's
talk
do
about
it.
Oh yeah, we'll have her. And she channels Merlin. And so Merlin said
Cool.
that in the room of silence, there's a lot of activity.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the alchemy happens. And when you're
Bubbles.
in the kitchen, the same thing. There's alchemy in the kitchen because you're changing one form into another form.
Mm-hmm.
You're heating it up. You're like a scientific lab. You're putting it in the oven. You're boiling, you're
Cool.
simmering, you're doing all these different things to these different elements and changing them. So for me, I think, and one of my greatest challenges is to allow myself that time, to give it to myself as a gift, not as a have to, not as you better
Yeah.
do that, not that, but to really see the gift that I get in the silence. I mean, that I keep this on my desk. Can you see it?
Oh, yeah.
Quiet the mind and the soul will speak. And that's where we hear those magic things that you just came up with, like the restaurant. You went right in there and conjured up an idea in your
I like it.
imagination and just took off with it.
Well, I'm doing
That's
it. I'm
where
going to
the
make a
magic
menu.
is.
I'm going to make a menu. I like making menus.
Mm,
Because you can get creative, what's your title? You got to sell it to yourself.
that's it. You got to sell it to yourself. And
Hmm.
whenever you want to change something, or you look at the limited beliefs that we're holding on to, then what happens is those limited beliefs become a part of us.
Hmm.
And we almost don't want to let them go because they're our friends or they're familiar. They're familiar.
Oh yeah. Comfort zone.
That's right. That keep us in an area that we think is safe,
Yeah.
but it's really just familiar.
Mm.
And it doesn't necessarily mean safe.
It's
And
that same old funny, familiar feeling.
oh, isn't there a song coming on about that?
I can't help it. Now you've got my mind in that, like,
I love that. Oh,
but yeah,
yeah,
but see, it's that funny, familiar, because it can be really harsh. And then sometimes it can be good. Like sometimes you want that
yeah,
place so that, like when you say, in the morning, having that quiet time, I'd love to do that, even if it's a minute,
yeah. A
just to have
minute.
that, whatever it is, and I often wake up with a cat pawing my face for food, or a dog, or whatever.
Right.
And I think, mothers go through this, right? There's like,
Sure.
you don't get that minute, but you can, if it's not an emergency, take that.
Yes.
You really can. And I think it's hard, for women especially, to stop for themselves. You're always pulled in those moments. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? But
Yes.
sometimes you need to have that calm
Yeah.
where you feel safe, nurtured, and so that's good.
Yeah.
That's part of. You always have to have your regular item on the menu, otherwise your customers will complain about
There
their
you
favorites.
go. There you go. And interesting you would say that too, because in the book, I've put in, there are 11 chapters in the book, 14 different recipes, but
Hmm.
11 chapters. But one of the main ingredients in the book, and I use food as an analogy, is the fact that energy, no matter what we do, we're made
Hmm.
up of energy. So if you're all flustered and you're hurried and you're angry and you're rushed and and then you go in to make your family dinner, the dinner is kind of infused with all that energy that you're not
Mm,
happy about cooking or whatever it is.
yeah.
It's all unconscious. But when you become conscious of that and you want to be open to bringing in different kind of energy, I do what's called happy mindful meditations, where you're
Oh,
right, just a minute. It can take just a minute. Close your eyes and envision yourself on an island, and the water is so blue and the sky
oh
is so
yes.
blue, and you can breathe in that salty air that just
Oh,
feels so
okay. I
good.
want to
And
go.
yeah. And that's it. That wasn't even a minute.
Look at
That
me
was
all
a
bundled up.
sentence.
I'm like, I'm ready. I want t-shirt weather, okay?
There you go.
I want to
There
go
you
to the
go.
beach. I want to see a dolphin.
Yeah.
Don't you want to see a dolphin? Ooh,
Yes.
I miss
Yes.
seeing dolphins. Yeah,
Yes.
you see, I love that. And I think just even creating that and knowing, and it becomes a pattern for you, but actually taking the time to think about those things
Yeah.
is something people we get so harried away with life and what everybody else wants from us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's,
You said dolphins, and that's very interesting because dolphins live a yummy, delicious life. I mean, do you know I did a little tiny research about dolphins and did do some swimming with the dolphins. And in order to go swimming with the dolphins in this group, the group leader said, dolphins are not like dogs. You
mm,
can't go after a dolphin and go, come here, dolphin, come here, come here, come here. They
yeah,
will not come to you. But
mm,
if you are playful unto yourself and you
oh,
are living your own yummy, delicious moment where you feel grateful and satisfied and blessed and playful, and you're appreciative of everywhere you are, the dolphins will then come to you.
oh, I like that.
And so that sense of yummy delicious is it's almost like self-sustaining. It comes from the inside out. It
Mhm.
doesn't come from the outside in. And
Oh,
that's a huge difference because
mm,
your yummy delicious is, of course, different than somebody else's yummy delicious. But I would venture to say that universally, the whole concept of yummy delicious is the same feeling.
yes,
What it's
yes.
derived from is different for everybody.
And that's
'cause-
the joy.
And that's the joy.
That's becoming yourself. Like, I'm very proud to be a Vegemite Marmite eater. I love Marmite. And then there's people that go, "Oh, I love Marmite." And then there's
Yeah,
like, "Oh, hell no." The hell
yeah,
no's out there, which is fine. Like, if you ask me to eat lutefisk, hell no. Well, I'm allergic to fish, but hell no. It's not happening. I'm not eating that stinky, 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 fishy,
right.
rotten, fermented fish. But
Yeah,
then it's a delicacy to those who eat it, and so I'm not putting it down. That's their thing.
that's
So
their yummy
that's
delicious.
their yummy delicious. And I think going back to like the old beliefs and how we tend to argue just because it's not your yummy delicious. If it's
Right.
somebody else's yummy delicious and they're not hurting anybody, get on with it.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, that's like it's that has to do with politics, that has to do with humanity, that has to do with gender and race and religion and somebody saying, no, my yummy delicious is better than your yummy delicious. I
No,
mean, no, everybody's taste is different.
yeah,
That's why we're all different human beings. Otherwise, we'd be all the same.
how boring.
And that's never going to happen either,
Yeah,
ever.
I would annoy myself. Did you ever see the Seinfeld episode where he dated Janine Garofalo, the comedian Janine Garofalo, and they were so alike, the two of them, in their humor, in eating cereal at the same time, and all these things that they thought it was cool. And then all of a sudden they looked at each other and like, oh, I don't like you anymore because
Right,
I was tired of myself
right,
because it was
right,
too much of the same thing. You know
right.
what I mean? And you look at
Yeah,
relationships, all these people that opposites attract. I know people that politically differ and have a relationship. I don't know how nowadays they do it, but they do. There's like a
yeah,
respect that they have, a genuine respect for each other's differences. And then
yeah,
they find common ground, which I think that's a beautiful thing. We
yeah,
need that more in the world right
yeah.
now,
We
you
do.
know?
We
See,
do.
so I always say this brings peace. Like if people are at peace with themselves, then maybe, I mean, when you look at like really crazy people in history, like Hitler, right? Look at people like that. And I'm going in history so I don't get in trouble. But what he did was terrible, but where does that come from? I know there's people born like psychopaths and things like that. That's really a chemical issue, right? But I mean, I feel like if people have all that rage, that comes from somewhere. When they do these really acts of atrocious acts. I mean, you don't have to be Hitler to be doing really terrible things, but I think it's like I believe in reform, right? Instead of just locking people up because they did something, there's a reason why they did it.
Hmm.
And so if we can find that reason why, there's a pain. It's something from pain. We've
Hmm.
done a lot of interviews on people who are experiencing homelessness, and people get mad. Well, they're on drugs. Well, how did they get up on drugs? Okay, so we do have a drug epidemic in this country,
Hmm.
but every single specialist I've talked to says it comes from a traumatic event, some kind of trauma that leads them and it just goes from there. And then here comes the ripple effect, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So that I know I'm going on the extreme, but it's a real deal. And people listening right now, maybe somebody is on that extreme side now from pain. I believe there's a lot of pain.
Yeah,
And if you don't find yourself, you're going to keep hurting.
yeah. It's an overcompensation, I believe,
Mm,
for our inadequacy or our feeling of inadequacy. And so
mm,
we have to overcompensate for it by being more than,
mm.
better than, bigger than, more important than,
There's drugs for
superior
that.
to. Huh?
There's drugs for that.
There is drugs.
Uh-oh.
That's a whole whole nother conversation.
I know, we've gone all over the place here. We've had food, we've had,
Yeah,
music
that's
and
right.
more.
That's right.
And more. There's always the
That's
and
right,
more.
and more, and more.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I know that's an extreme thing, but I think a lot of people are living with that. And what you're saying, that competitiveness, competing is good in that it makes you step up your game a little bit. It makes you think creatively and differently. It's not
Mhm.
negative, but there's nasty competitiveness. That's not cool.
Right,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So,
Well, when you overcompensate for your lack of security within yourself, if
mhm,
it's an insecurity and you're overcompensating it, competition is healthy if it's done from a healthy place.
yeah,
But I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about athletes who go and want to run faster than the other person. I'm not talking about that because they're each striving to be the best that they can be.
absolutely.
I'm talking about people who feel that they're superior to other people because of their skin or because of their gender or because of their religion or because of their anything.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that makes them feel more than is usually because they feel less than.
Mm,
They want to overcompensate it by,
right.
beating on their chest and saying, I'm better than you are, and what I like is better than what you like, and all of that kind
So
of
it's
stuff.
really when you have that kind of person around you, maybe at work, maybe at home, maybe it's a sibling, something like that. It's hard to take that kind of behavior, right? It's
Yeah,
a hard behavior to live with or
yeah,
work with. So you have
yeah,
options to leave and things like that. Sometimes people don't. It just depends.
yeah,
Everybody's got a different situation. But part of what I'm saying is like to remember that there's a reason why they're doing it. And
yeah.
sometimes not take it personally, you know?
Always not to take it personally. That's a really important thing you just said, Lisa, because are you familiar with Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote
Oh
the
yeah,
four?
yeah, the four agreements.
Yeah. So his
Oh, I
second
need to
agreement
revisit
is
that.
do not take things personally. The
Oh,
first is be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions and do the best that you can.
oh, I like that.
And so if anybody's acting out and they're acting out and we feel the wrath of their acting out, when we stay within ourself and our own secure inner beingness and know that, like you said, they're either coming from pain or whatever the case may
Mhm.
be, that we don't have to take it personally. As children, that's not so easy to
Yeah,
do.
that's you. And a lot of you may not have someone explaining that to you.
Yes, as children, that's not so easy to do because as children, our parents are our gods.
Hmm.
We think that they know everything and we're supposed to learn everything from them.
I hear Nancy upstairs saying, "That's right."
Ah.
You woke her up out of goofy
You
day.
go, Shelley, you go.
Yeah, the
You
goof
tell
off day.
her.
She goes, "That's it. That's it." Oh boy.
Yeah. And so the sad part about that is when a parent doesn't have the tools, they don't know how, or they're sick mentally
Yeah.
and emotionally, and they don't know how to treat their children as human beings rather than objects.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
hard for a child not to take it personally. I thought it was just me, and I thought I wasn't equipped enough to make her happy.
Mm, yeah.
So I was always failing because she was never happy.
Mm. See,
And
but
so
that happens also for children during going through divorce. When a family goes
that
through
too,
divorce, the kids, the first thing is they start blaming themselves. I didn't
they
do my
blame
homework on
themselves.
time, right down to that. Did
Right.
I Now they're mad and they're splitting up because I didn't do my homework, you
That's
know?
right. I wasn't good enough. I didn't do what I was supposed to be doing. Otherwise, they would still be there, or my mother
Hmm.
would be happy and not putting herself in a closet with a pillow over her face saying she wants to kill herself.
Oh, that's not nice.
I mean, when you see that as a child, and I was an older
Mm,
child, seeing that. And then calling my dad and saying, Dad, Mom's in the closet and she's putting a pillow over herself
Oh, yeah.
and wants to kill herself. And then what does he say? What did you do to your mother?
And that's not even funny if you do it as a joke, like to make it light of it.
That
That's
was not a funny thing. He was
no.
serious.
Oh, that's not cool.
And then I was like dumbfounded,
That's
again,
hard.
thinking it was my fault that
Mm-mm.
she felt so unhappy and that there was nothing I could do to make her happy. I couldn't do enough to make her happy.
And that
So
could be
for-
that's lifelong stuff.
It is. Thank God I can talk about it, not be re-traumatized.
Yeah. But it comes to a point. You have to get to a point of that. You know what I mean? Where you
Yeah.
don't take it personally. It's like, this is a happening, and detach the emotion at some point, which
Yeah.
is hard if you have baggage.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that hasn't had something negative.
Something, of course, because we're
Yeah.
human.
Yeah, and we shouldn't be competing over that kind of thing either. There's people compete over, like, oh, my scar's bigger than yours.
Exactly.
That's a victimhood kind of
That's right.
not fun. That's not yummy delicious.
See, we've
I
just
want the yummy
brought
delicious.
ourselves into what's not yummy delicious.
Yeah, I want to be on the yummy delicious zone. I
Me
want
too.
dessert. And when you do your own menu, you can put dessert as the appetizer. You're allowed. If you want breakfast all day, you can do it. It's your life. Your
Yes.
yummy delicious. So, I think
Exactly.
what is the epitome of a yummy delicious meal for you? An actual meal. Like favorite.
Oh,
Like it's
I
flavor.
love salmon. Or I
Okay.
mean, I love sushi. Sushi's my favorite kind of food. So I
And
do
sake,
love,
I remember that on one of
and
our shows.
sake. Yes, sake and
I've never
sushi.
had sake.
Oh, get a bottle and heat it up, but don't heat it directly in the pot. Put it in a measuring cup and hang the measuring cup in a pot of
I don't
boiling
want to
water.
measure how much I drink. My doctor will know. She don't need to know. She says we're only allowed 4 or 5 ounces of red wine a night. So
Oh,
I just kind of look aside
and
and
eyeball it.
yeah. She doesn't
Yeah,
know how big my wine glass is.
right. Well,
But
sake,
okay, no.
usually you get a little cup so you can drink
Yeah.
several of those.
And you put
Little.
it in hot water and
Oh, I put it, it's like a double boiler,
yeah, okay.
so that the alcohol doesn't evaporate.
Oh yeah, because we don't
You
want
just
that to
put the
go.
water underneath it, get that, heated up, and then you
Okay.
can drink it that way. Yeah.
I'll call you when we do this.
Call me, I'll show you.
We'll have a sake off.
Yeah,
We'll have
sake.
a sake chat. That'll be sake with Shelley. I like that.
There you go. Sunday sake with Shelley.
See, when we lived in South Africa, they had well, they still do this sakis, and that's like a barn dance. A sake
Oh,
is like a 2-step kind of that. Let's go to the sake, and it means
oh,
you're doing like a little, like almost country western music in a way,
uh-huh.
and people do their dancing with their arms out, and
How
2-steppy kind
fun.
of thing. So
Yeah.
there's a sake with some sake.
There you go. Sake,
I like this. We're back to
sake.
music. Tell
That's
everybody
right.
about your course, the Yummy Delicious course. I mean,
Well, yeah.
let's
It's
eat.
called, guess what it's called? Create a Yummy Delicious Life.
Love it.
It's a digital online self-study course, which I love because people
Mm,
can do it in their own time whenever they want. And
mm.
there are 6 modules, and I bring you through a system of the basics, and then go into exercises. I have a beautiful, my Lisa, we have 2 Lisas in our life, but my Lisa has done an incredible job of designing everything. I have a 52-page workbook,
Oh,
which
wow.
is like a journal. It's a combination of a journal and questions. And boy, I'll tell you, you really go through this whole course and you feel like, oh my God, I've just unloaded so many things I did not know I was carrying around with me. And
Ooh.
when you do that, you just feel lighter and more present, and you gather your energy different.
You know
And
what? And you actually do lose weight.
you do.
You know what? I lost weight quick. As soon as I got divorced, I lost weight.
Yeah,
What was that? It was like the literal baggage just fell right off of me.
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
exactly right. Yeah.
so I think you're for women, weight and like
Yeah.
real baggage can equal weight, depending on who you
Yes,
are.
it can. Yes,
Hmm.
it can.
Well, that I like to feel light and yummy and delicious.
Yeah.
So
I figure
that's
who doesn't want to feel yummy, delicious or taste
have
yummy,
a skip in
delicious?
your step. We want to
Yeah,
skip. Yep.
exactly.
I like that. So everyone, ShelleyWhizin.com. That's the place where everybody goes, right, for the course. And
Yeah, I
also,
think there's a link, and let me see what that link, I think the link at the end is ShelleyWhizin.com/CAYDL, which is create a yummy, delicious life.
okay, there it is.
That's
But go to ShelleyWhizin.com too. She's on Facebook. You can learn more about her books. She's on Instagram. She's TikToking. She's a TikToking on there, and keep up with her there because she's always got something new. I know we're recording this before you put this big challenge on for people, so I hope you'll do another one for people
Oh,
in the
yes.
future.
Very
Challenges are
exciting.
good. It's good to
Yeah.
do challenges, but at this point, I say go for the course. That's a good way of doing it, and especially when you can do exercises. That's the
Yeah.
thing. So
Yeah.
everyone, ShelleyWhizin.com, and Shelley is here every first Sunday. We go soul diving with Shelley. So keep up with us here at BigBlendRadio.com. Thanks so much, Shelley. Let's go have some
Thank
sake.
you. Okay, thanks, Lisa.